It's time for one of my favorite topics, real estate and real estate investing. I've got Linval Taylor of LTF Holdings right here on Radio for Small Business. Linval, thanks for taking your time out.
Oh, sure. You're welcome.
Now, one, I need to know what part of the world you're in, and two, what part of the world you're originally from, because I'm sensing an accent here.
Okay. The first one is I'm in Bayshore, New York. That's on Long Island.
Okay.
And secondly, I originated from Kingston, Jamaica. I've been in this country since 1978. So I've been around a while, but the accent stays with me, and that's fine.
Hey, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Nothing wrong with that. It works.
So you've been here since 78. Now, when did you get started in real estate and real estate investing?
Basically, I started in 2013, actually.
Okay.
And this came about as a result of a job loss. So, there were some reconfigurations at work. And but that was fine, too, because I've been working in the telecommunication business here in the United States for the past 33 years. So I was actually planning to hang up in 2014. So with this premature rift, that worked because, I got paid for almost a year. So then I decided to utilize Plan B. And in doing so, I raided my 401k, took money out of that, paid a lot of taxes, but that's okay. And I invested in several properties in Georgia.
Oh, okay. Georgia. So you said two things I want to ask you about, because when it comes to, you said raiding the 401k, most people who aren't entrepreneurial minded, they are terrified of even thinking about spending anything in their 401k. Tell us the steel in your veins that you had to have in order to go through with that decision-making process.
Well, that's a good point. You used a good adjective there, steel, because I'm a risk taker, and the fact of the matter is I told my wife I took a risk with her. And that would be 40 years we were married, so that's a big risk.
Congratulations.
And it worked out. Thank you. So, yes, indeed I'm a risk taker. And the fact of the matter is that, I've been very successful in the stock market. And, that takes a lot of risk too, in steel, if you look at it that way. So, if you couple both of those things, then you can see, I have a penchant for risk.
Gotcha. So now the next thing you said is that you've invested in some properties in Georgia. So most people, when they start off, their mentors tell them start locally. Can you tell us about the decision to start in Georgia?
Yeah, good question. Actually, I started to look in New York because I'm actually a realtor in New York as well. So, I have access to the systems and all of that. But the fact of the matter is in New York, it's very expensive, real estate-wise. So, I wouldn't be able to scale per se in terms of the amount of properties I own for the money I'm spending. I get more properties there in Georgia than I would get here in New York. So that was the primary reason for doing that.
So, and you sound like someone who, you're not just starting in life, you've got some life experience. So I'm guessing that when you made that decision to start investing 1,000 miles away from where you live, you knew that you were going to have some systems. Can you talk about some of the systems that you may have set up to help you run your business?
Okay, yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Well, I am computer driven. So, I have things set up in place wherein the tenants pay the rent online. I have associations or contracts with home warranty companies that, I call them and then they can dispatch and take care of what needs to be done. So, there's a system, so to speak, so I don't have to be there with feet on the ground. I have a few people there locally, some electricians and other handymen that I can call upon to do some tasks that, require urgent needs.
Gotcha. Now, so it sounds like you're saying because you have the life experience, because you had the cash, you didn't have to be like most people who try to get started with real estate with no money down and using necessarily the owner's financing. You were able to build the right relationships with the right team on the ground and get things going. How'd you find those relationships? And then once you found them, how'd you cultivate them?
It takes a lot of working with people. You have to, develop this mindset wherein, you can trust people to do certain things. And it's ironic that you said that because in addition to what I've done for myself personally, I extended an arm, so to speak, and that's how Lifetime Friends came about. I approached 4 friends of mine who, we grew up together in Jamaica. These are people that I've known for over 40 years. So, I approached them and I said, hey, this is what I'm doing, and they've seen the benefits of what I've done. And I said, why not get together, seeing that we've been friends for so long, and form a company and do a mirror of what I'm doing here for myself. And that's what we did. So with that said, we formed Lifetime Friends Holdings. We purchased 2 properties. And, as we speak, I'm in the process of purchasing another one.
Wow.
With them.
Linval, you said something that it's pretty amazing. You got relationships. You were able to formulate them over a lifetime. But then on top of that, you were able to convince those friends to also invest. I've tried to talk to some of my friends about investing, and their face turns white as snow, okay?
Well, it's not as smooth as it sounds, because working with friends, my mother said to me, be careful of friends. Business and friends don't mix. But it has changed our personalities a bit as friends. There are times when we argue, and we argue vociferously. But then at the end, we are going out and realize that, hey, we can meet halfway.
Gotcha. And it's almost good sometimes in business that you do argue with your partners, but because don't you learn something through that friction?
Oh, yeah. Learn a lot. And I've learned a lot from them, and they've certainly learned a lot from me. They never realized that I was the sort of person I am. SOB, so to speak, if you look at
that. So when it comes to the business model itself, what's you guys' model? Do you buy and rent? Or I know some people buy and flip or wholesale. What's your model?
We buy and rent. And one of the things is that we only purchase properties that have tenants in there. That's my stipulation.
Okay.
Stipulation. Yes. So all the properties we purchase, and I drive my real estate agent crazy. He said he has never seen anybody with that model, but it works for me. I'm not buying a property unless a tenant is in there.
So you get to assure that there's some type of cash flow flowing through the property before you even sign the dotted line.
Correct. From day one. Correct. Yeah.
I know.
And that model works.
And it works.
Yes,
so,
it does.
I know in your experience, you've had to meet guys who are flippers and wholesalers, and they say that there's no way they want a unit with a tenant in it. The thing that you maybe tell them to try and convince them of the benefits of having a tenant, a positive cash flowing property when you buy it.
Well, you see, when you buy a place that's empty, you'll have to spend your time and energy looking for a tenant. And the fact of the matter is, when I purchase a property with a tenant, I meet with them, I tell them, hey, listen, this is what we're doing. Make sure you pay your rent on time, and these are the steps we take if you don't. And, they adhere to them. And if they don't, we go to court, and we have done that. We have recently evicted a tenant. So it's a business, and we have to ensure that the business is functional.
That's pretty cool. I definitely like the business model of buying the cash flow, making sure that it's cash flowing positive. Do you have to pay a bit of a premium because there's a tenant in there when you buy the property?
No.
Wow.
Some places tell them often that, we want the tenant to stay. The tenant might want to stay or they might want to go. So we tell the tenant that we're not looking to live there. We want to utilize it as a rental property. And they stay and they're happy. The fact of the matter is, these are nice places that we own. And our motto is that on our website is that we only purchase properties that we would live there. And indeed it is. So whatever property we buy, it's a really nice place.
Gotcha. So in a way, because you buy the property with a tenant in there with positive cash flow, you probably get a savings because that's cash you don't have to spend looking for the right tenant, right?
Exactly. So, in addition to that, it cuts down on the headache. You have to wait a month, 2 months to get a tenant in there. No, we hit the ground running.
So just in case you're just tuning in, we've been talking to Linval Taylor of LTF Holdings. Linval, why don't you give the listeners maybe one final tip, just in case they're thinking about taking the real estate plunge and investing?
You have to take action. You can't be sitting on the fence. If this is something you want to do, go with your gut feeling. You have to take a risk. When I say take a risk, you have to take a calculated risk. And with that in mind, you go forward. You just have to go out there and pound the pavement, look for the property, get a tenant in there if it's empty, or use my model, buy a place with a tenant in there. And if they are not performing, you get them out. Get another one in there. There are millions of tenants out there. Believe me.
Awesome. So Linval Taylor, ltfholdings.com. Did I get it right?
That's correct, yes.
Make sure you check out ltfholdings.com for more information about LTF Holdings and Linval Taylor. Linval, thanks for taking your time out on radio for smallbusiness.com.
No, thanks, Eugene. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to talking to you again in the future.